There go the lights. It's in glorious Technicolor.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm Ruben Peralta from the Dominican Republic. How are you?
Hi, Ruben. How are
Um,
you?
I'm fantastic. I'm truly honored to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Why this movie is so important for you that you became a producer and also you are acting and you've been so advocate, defending and promoting the film? Why so important? Because this is a remake. This is another vision of the story that we know about. Why so important for you? Is because it feels personal.
I mean, it is in a way personal because right now I just feel like we're all living this reality where Latinos and queer people are being demonized and singled out in a way that is so atrocious. And I want to remind people that we're all humans, and that you have to, there's everybody has, and I think the movie does that. I think the story that Manuel Puig wrote in the 70s really does it. It says, you know, we may have different political views. We may be of different, orientations. I may be queer, you may be straight, we may be cis, you may be non-binary, you may be trans. It doesn't matter. And I may think this political side of the spectrum, and you may be left, and I may be right. But it doesn't matter when you can just look at another human being, when you're both in the same circumstances, and say, I see you. I see the humanity in you. I see the love in you. I see the heart and the soul in you. That's what we need to be reminded of. And I think this movie does that. And so in a way, it's personal, and it's even more personal because it's universal right now. So for me, it was a perfect time. I don't think it's a coincidence that this movie and this project came up again at this time in history.
Someone told me that this movie could be filmed or ambiented in any country in Latin America and it will fit perfectly. Because
Yeah.
the history that we have with dictators, with the fighting for democracy, and but also it's beautiful because I feel it's a love letter also to cinema, to the musicals. And I wonder, do you think that now, because before you have to have certain skills to be in the industry, you have to sing, you have to dance, you have to act. Do you feel that nowadays we have different skills than back in the 50s and 40s that we saw more musicals than these days?
Um, I don't know. I think, the cinema evolves and grows and it changes, and through times with technology and all the different things change everything. But I think at the heart of musicals, it's the, like, there's a line there that says, well, we don't sing in real life, but maybe we should.
Mhm.
And it's a
It will be
it's a
more
great
fun.
line, because you're right, it's a love letter to musicals and the hope that they give us. I know for me, growing up in the Bronx, living in a tenement building, me and my sister sharing one room, watching West Side Story, that musical made me believe that I could do what I did with my life. Musicals do something it transcends kind of reality in a way. And that's why it's so beautiful that they made this into a musical, that they made Kiss of the Spider Woman into a musical in the 90s, and then now this movie. And I don't think there was a more perfect director to do it, because Bill loves musicals so much. He loves them, and he understands what they do for people. And I hope we capture that a bit in this film. It did it for us. It helped me through a hard time in my own personal life while I was filming this movie. Being able to sing and dance every day. Diego and I used to joke, it's like, thank God we have this. Well, we should only do musicals from now on. We should, I don't want to do anything else. It's such a joy.
One of the things that I spoke with Bill is about the using of colors in the film, and I wonder how do you feel different because you have a relationship with the camera, you as a character, because it goes close to you and then go wider when you start dancing. How was that relationship with the camera and that conversation with Bill to have? Because for me, color in this film is so important that it
Yeah.
makes it a character by itself.
Yeah, you're right. The colors that he decided to use within the musical, and then how he used kind of the lack of color in the prison scenes. That part of it really made you feel like, wow, I'm in a different I'm in a different universe almost, right? I'm in a different kind of stratosphere when I would come onto the screen and we would be dancing and singing, or the room was all red, or, you know, all of the things that were happening, the nightmares and the please help me escape into a movie set, and everything about it was kind of magical in a way. But yeah, I think the relationship with the camera I since I started doing films, I was lucky enough to work with such brilliant actors like Jack Nicholson and great directors like Steven Soderbergh. And so I learned very young that the camera is your friend. And if you want anybody to love what you're doing or see what you're doing, the camera has to see it. I think as a young actor, sometimes you get in your own world and you think, oh, I'm just going to do it and they'll catch it. But that's not this medium. The medium is that the camera has to catch it in the right way. And this movie was very, very dependent upon that, because Bill decided to shoot it in a way where it was very long, one take numbers of these things. And there was the challenge, like you said, you have to know when you're in the close-up, you have to know when you have to turn around quickly, because you have to catch, you know, they have to catch you on camera or they're not seeing you. And and then you're jumping on somebody's shoulders and jumping on the bar and jumping off the bar and making sure you land the right way. And it was pretty amazing to do. And sometimes I didn't think I would be able to do it, or that they would get it, but somehow we all worked, you know, well together, and it worked out. I say this with every cameraman, and on the movie I'm making right now, I always go to the cameraman and I say, we're gonna dance, you and I, the whole movie. The whole movie's I learned that on Selena with a Steadicam operator. I realized we're dancing together. He's my dance partner, and together we're gonna make a beautiful music. And it was very much the same thing. But I'm glad that I worked with such masters early in my career that I was able to learn that.
Jennifer, thank you. And I agree, Out of Sight is a great film. I
Thank
love
you.
Out of Sight. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Bill, what a pleasure, man.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to meet you.
One of my favorite movies is Singing in the Rain. It just,
Yeah.
not because the story, because how it makes me feel. It makes me feel happy. Just I smile watching this film
I
all
know.
the time. It doesn't matter how
I
many
know.
times I see it. And I feel that you use something in the case of the Spider-Woman. It's like you use your camera and the wide angle to
Yeah.
show when they're dancing and doing the musical
Exactly.
scenes. Is that what intentional, or you wanted to make like some honors to the classic films?
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so glad you saw that. Yeah, I think, you know, and that approach started with Fred Astaire when he came to Hollywood, who said, I rehearse these numbers for 2 weeks and I want everyone to know that it's not a trick, you know, that I'm doing it. And I think that spirit infuses all of those movies, right? I mean, Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse and that ballet, you know, it's incredible what they do. You know, so I asked Jennifer mostly, you know, to take on that challenge. And the difference is they did have 2 weeks to rehearse, and we had a total of 6 weeks, but then she's doing a new number every second day or second day. So it really, I'm still in awe of her being able to kind of live up to that approach. But it was important, and to me, it just gives a certain power to it, you know, to know that you're seeing it's something without cuts, you know.
Also, I feel that another character is the use of color in your film.
Yes,
Because
yes,
when they're in jail, they're super gray and dark. But then in the beautiful Hollywood story, it's full of colors. Like
yes.
I had the privilege to watch the film in a big screen, and then I watch it at home again, and it just changed my eyesight but it's also intentional because you wanted to create another feeling of that political era.
Yeah, sometimes I think of it as being like an almost a lecture in what we love about Hollywood musicals because, you know, there's one point at which, because Molina is so obsessed with it, but in which he says, you know, he's talking about the club Macambo, and you know, now it's painted a deep shade of scarlet, the color of sex,
Mhm.
you know, and it's all the psychology I need. But hidden in that line is just a kind of reference to the fact that directors like Vincent Minnelli, and Stanley, that they were telling story through color and camera and design, that and specifically Minnelli was so highly attuned to the way colors made you feel,
Yeah,
and
right. Perfect.
that's something I think I hate to say it, we live in a more monochromatic world and a more monochromatic movie world, so it was great to be able to explode with all of that.
Because I feel in modern films, color is not important anymore because like people are afraid to go back to black and white for some reason. They're just using it as a tool when they wanna create something as memory in a movie,
Yes, I
not
know the cliche.
as yeah,
Yeah,
which I hate because
yeah,
I grew up watching classic films, and I'm here because classic film. I'm here because Casablanca, basically.
right.
And I'm talking to you. I'm doing this because I fell in love with the black and white and Humphrey Bogart all
Wow.
being cool.
Yeah,
And why is so important to tell again this story for you? Because I know you went through a battle to bring back this story. Why is so important for Bill to tell
yeah.
this story your own version?
Well, it's fun for Bill. That's a great question because there's so much of me in it. I think I am split between sort of political engagement and love of fantasy, but I think also there are a lot of reasons having to do with um, the novel being ahead of its time and kind of gender fluidity. But I think when you're asking specifically for me, it's almost, I almost partly see it as a defense of the choices I've made in my career too.
Mhm.
There are some movies that baffle people, and Melina at one point says, "Call it kitsch, call it camp. I love it," But I love so much of the form of classic Hollywood filmmaking as reinvented in a contemporary way,
Mhm.
it's really something. I love theatricality. I love theatrical characters. I love characters who are larger than life, who speak in complete sentences, all of that stuff that I think is, sort of more the hallmarks of classic cinema. I really I really vibe with, So I think for me, it's a little bit of a kind of what do you call it? A self-defense in a way, or explanation.
But also in your filmography, you also love outsiders. You love people that
Absolutely.
they
Yeah,
come from outside and
correct.
create some kind of revolution. And this is not the exception because this is another film about not just minority, but people that think outside the box. Why
That's
your
right.
filmography is based on this? Why it's so important to create and put that word outside? Even
Yeah.
Twilight, even everything.
No, I know. It's really true. It's just all that I connect to, and and it's not conscious either, I just, it's weird sometimes where it's sort of like you wake up in the middle of a project and it's like, oh my God, I'm I'm doing the same thing again. It's in a good way, But I think obviously it's just as a little gay boy growing up in a working class, neighborhood of, in New York City, and feeling so alien and having absolutely not one model to look toward in the world that was not reflected anywhere in culture. And even as it started to be, it was in a terrifying way,
Mhm.
so I think that you never outgrow that, right? That sense of otherness. um, and then you start to celebrate it, and then you see, oh my God, everything good in my life happened because of that otherness, and I think that's the the journey. But I think that's sort of what I still, I think we all, you look at Scorsese and he keeps talking about, I said little boy, but it's the boy that turns into the adolescent boy and then to the young man. The the power we find in movies as an escape from our life, right?
Yeah.
um it never leaves you. I think we're always chasing that moment when we first discovered the power of movies.
Do you believe that still fantasy is like an escape for people that are oppressed? Like now we in a political situation where we have ICE chasing immigrants. We in Europe
Yeah,
also is been. Do you feel that the better escape or the only escape, the immigrants or people that are in jail of
yeah.
in lockdown is still that hope of a better time and they escape in a fantasy?
Yes, I think so. I think in our case, um movies, Hollywood movies, the movies that people around the world watch, they're all fantasies in a way because they have a happy ending. Somehow you see all the struggle. They let you see the struggle translated, and then somehow the right values win out at the end, So I do think that can become very powerful when that isn't happening in real life, So every movie's political, right? Um, and the I don't know if it gives people hope or that those happy endings, but it's certainly, I think that interesting. Independent movies are different, obviously, because I think they let in more of the reality. I prefer the other thing that movies can do, which is let you for 2 hours live in somebody else's skin and sort of feel like you understand and come out sometimes transformed, feeling you have a taste of their experience, So films that are maybe more real than the mass market movies, I think, are the ones that that possibly can give comfort and also a sense of understanding across differences,
Do you feel that still movies can be, because I remember I read something a while ago about the art is a form of resistance too.
Yes,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah.
feel that movies nowadays can be, because it's managed by big studios, great studios, they can tell their own version of how they feel. Do you still believe that your cinema or this kind of cinema can be called art of as resistance?
I think we'll see, right? I mean, because you're talking about, there are two different cinemas, right? There's Hollywood studio cinema and there's independent cinema. And let's face it, the second one has a smaller audience, right?
Mhm.
So, but if you're talking about big budget studio filmmaking, which has really reflected very progressive values mostly, along with some other things that sort of filter in, Um, but will that change? I think we're all living a little bit in a slight moment of fear. There's a push on from the government to change the way we see news, entertainment, clearly, the people we celebrate in entertainment and stuff like that. So far, that has been mostly resisted, I think.
Mhm.
But I think we all are scared about how hard they're going to push that and and how much we can trust the people who control these things to not relent.
And I think films are very important in that situation.
I
And
agree.
even superhero movies, because
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
the whole generation growing up uh, learning what is political view from superhero movies. It's
Yeah.
interesting for
Yes.
me.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Bill, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Ruben. It was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Rubén, ¿te he
Hablamos.
conocido antes? Te ves muy
Sí,
parecido.
en Miami, aquí cuando viniste.
Ah, ok. Pensé eso.
Que pensaste que te dije gordo cuando no te dije gordo.
Gordo. Ah, ok, ya.
Y me gustó eso que te entregaste 100% porque quisiste perder peso para parecer que estabas en la cárcel.
¿Me estás diciendo que estoy gordo?
No, que estás... No.
That's hilarious. No, te reconocí la cara inmediatamente. Es que nombres, no soy muy bueno con nombres, pero las caras nunca se me olvidan.
Qué bueno, eso es bueno a veces. Tú sabes, yo vi la película otra vez, quise disfrutarla de nuevo, porque la primera vez la vi en la computadora, pero la puse en una pantalla mejor. Y algo que me llama la atención es las grandes referencias que hace Bill Condon al cine clásico. Pero
Sí.
algo muy especial es cómo tú puedes ser el mismo personaje con el mismo nombre, pero con colores diferentes. ¿Qué tan importante es para ti como actor la ropa, la coreografía, saber que estás en color, saber que estás en gris? ¿Qué es tan importante para ti a la hora de crear un personaje como Luis?
Oh, no, me encanta. O sea, acabo de aprender esta palabra en español, cinéfilo. Yo soy cinéfilo y me encantan las películas. Entonces, cuando tuve la oportunidad de no solo hacer el personaje de Molina, pero también el de Kendall, fue como irme a una época que ya no existe. Y Colleen y Christine fueron las diseñadoras de los disfraces. son expertas a eso. Entonces ellas también estaban contando mundos con cada detallito. Y cuando la gente se obsesiona y tiene una pasión por lo que hace, eso me da tanta vida. Entonces pasamos mucho tiempo de platicar sobre, ok, si tú vas a hacer esto, yo hago esto, o me encantaría contar esta historia y cómo lo podemos encontrar juntos. Hasta ese último look que Molina tuvo en el vestido rojo, yo creo que hablamos y tuvimos 5 o 6 diferentes eh, sketchings,
Sí, como
¿cómo se dice?
dibujos.
Dibujos de qué es lo que queríamos hacer, porque no encontrábamos el look exacto. Y tuvimos muchísimas conversaciones sobre eso, pero yo soy tan meticuloso cuando hago mis personajes que hasta el pelito que tengo aquí enfrente lo
A los
pienso.
Superman.
Ajá, pero no, pero en la película, en ese momento donde Jennifer o la Mujer Araña está viendo
Sí.
para abajo a Molina y Molina sube la cara para verla aceptando su muerte, vi la foto y dije, no, 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 necesita un momento para recordar de las artistas de ese tiempo que siempre tenían, eran perfección, ¿no? Entonces yo quería, porque, estas fotos, muchas veces las películas viven para siempre, entonces quería
Ujú.
asegurar que tuviera, que sería perfecto.
¿Tú entiendes que esta película es una película de supervivencia o de resistencia, basándote en tu personaje?
Oh, both. I think we oscillate between both all the time. Yo creo que siempre en ciertas épocas en nuestras propias existencias como humanos estamos a veces solamente sobreviviendo y otras veces estamos, um, hay una resiliencia que uno necesita para vivir una vida. En particular cuando vienes de comunidades marginalizadas.
Sí.
Y nuestra película, lo que me encanta es que enseña la cruel realidad en cual vivimos, pero también dice, puedes soñar e imaginar otra. Tienes que ambas cosas son importantes. Tienes que ser crítico y um, querer cambiar las cosas y también tener la tenacidad de la esperanza y de saber que algo puede cambiar.
Algo que me gusta de esta versión, como tú mencionas, que te gusta mucho el cine clásico, es que si nos vamos a pensar al cine del 50 o 60, de esos grandes musicales, era muy difícil ver a un latino en el medio de todo esto. Y la idea que pone Bill de ponerte a ti, de poner a Jennifer, de poner a Diego, de tener todo este cast y crearlo alrededor de ser latino, de la plataforma latina, me gusta mucho. Y,
Sí.
y no sé si tuvieron una conversación acerca de la visión que tenía Bill y la visión que tenían ustedes como actores también.
Bueno, yo siempre he creído que nuestra película lo que está diciendo es que latinos son Hollywood. No hay Latin Hollywood, porque eso se me hace una división que no es necesaria. Nos
Ujú.
ponen allá, Hollywood está aquí y Latin Hollywood está allá, pero lo que estamos diciendo nosotros, siempre hemos estado aquí,
Yeah.
siempre hemos sido parte de esta historia. Desde antes de Rita Moreno, pero Rita Moreno en realidad abrió las puertas en una forma increíble, pero muchas de la técnica de la ay, Dios,
Cinematografía.
cinematog- ¿cómo?
Cinematografía.
Cinematografía. Muchas de esa técnica también fueron construidas en Latinoamérica, porque también nosotros tenemos una obsesión con eso. El cinema es global, la experiencia humana es global. Entonces, para decir que Hollywood que nosotros somos fuera de eso, es una ridiculez. En particular, ahorita donde tenemos un renacimiento increíble sobre talento Hollywood, del talento latino. Jennifer Lopez, Pedro Pascal, Oscar Isaac, Diego Luna, Gael García Bernal, Jenna Ortega, la lista nunca, nunca para, pero siempre nos quieren poner allá. Y lo que nosotros estamos diciendo es, no, siempre hemos estado aquí y siempre seguiremos estando aquí. Nosotros somos Hollywood.
Sí, porque la idea que había mucho antes, incluso muchos actores norteamericanos hicieron de otras nacionalidades, porque no querían, tal vez, no sé, como el código Hayes fue muy complicado, el macartismo también fue muy complicado. Pero tú dijiste algo muy importante, pero no solamente estamos siendo vistos como actores, también estamos creando nuestras historias. Dentro de esa industria, para ti, que eres un joven talento, que trabajaste en televisión, este es tu primer gran rol, ¿Cómo ves que la industria hacia dónde se dirige? No solamente con los latinos, industria en general, con el tema también, por ejemplo, de musicales. Ya no vemos tantos musicales como antes.
Wow.
¿Cómo tú ves la industria marchando hacia adelante de tantas cosas que han cambiado desde la pandemia?
Bueno, yo creo que eso es una pregunta muy complicada, solo porque hay muchas diferentes cosas que están cambiando, no solamente económicamente, pero en la política en los Estados Unidos, las cosas han cambiado tanto que no sé exactamente dónde va a ir la industria, pero lo que he encontrado es el apoyo y el amor dentro de nuestras comunidades, no solo aquí entre latinos, pero entre la comunidad afroamericana, la comunidad latina, la comunidad asiática. eh, Nos apoyamos porque entendemos esa misma eh, othering,
Ujú.
cuando nos ponen allá.
Como al lado.
ah, sí, cuando nos ponen a un lado, entonces nos ayudamos bastante. Y yo creo que a veces hay una expectativa que cuando te dejan entrar, tienes que ser increíble. No hay espacio para fracasar. Y muchos se doblegan a eso, se sienten mal, se hacen, los intimidan, pero a mí me encanta un reto. Me encanta que la gente me diga que no es posible, porque a mí me encanta poder decir, claro que sí es. O sea, muchos piensan que, ¿cómo se dice aliens? Los
Como
de,
indocumentados. Como
no.
extraterrestres.
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 Muchos dicen que extraterrestres crearon los pirámides en Egipto, porque es imposible que humanos lo hubieran creado. Pero nadie duda que los mexicanos crearon los pirámides en México, porque un mexicano puede crear cualquier cosa con una sonrisa y una cerveza.
Sí. Sí, de verdad. Estoy de acuerdo contigo. Tonatiuh, muchas gracias por tu tiempo y felicidades de nuevo.
Gracias.